You're listening to Short Inspirations from Ralph. Did Jesus really rise from the dead? Part 1. This question is so important because everything rises and falls on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Paul even said, and if Christ has not been raised, all of our preaching has been for nothing, and your faith is useless. If you think about the implications of this resurrection actually not happening, then not only does Jesus recede back into history as possibly a good man that was a bit deluded, but 2.4 billion people today who profess Jesus in some form are all wasting their time. It's all wrong. Further to that, the Bible is totally undermined, and there is a question mark as to whether there is a God. That's how important this question is. The good news is that the evidence of Jesus Christ, who was an historical figure, rising from the dead is overwhelming. And the evidence that we have of this event could go before any just court in history and would win the case hands down. And so if Jesus did indeed rise from the dead, and he did, the implications of that are enormous. That means that he is who he claimed he was. He is God in flesh. And not only that, death has been conquered. And so every person needs to do something about it. That's why in my last episode, called Why Should I Become a Christian, is so important. Have a listen to that if you haven't done so already. So, just what is the evidence of Jesus rising from the dead? Well, the first fact out of 3 that I'm going to bring to you is that the tomb was empty. Remember that the authorities had closed up Jesus' tomb, so much so that they put a almost 2-ton stone in front of it, and they put Roman guards there to guard it all night. On top of that, there was 6 independent sources that verified that the tomb was actually empty. They were independent, and some of these were amongst the earliest materials to be found in the New Testament. Now, this is very important, because when an event is recorded by 2 or more unconnected sources, remember this was 6, historians' confidence that the event actually happened increases. So the earlier these sources are dated, the higher their confidence. And these sources were in Luke, John, 1 Corinthians, Mark, Matthew, and Acts. As well as that, woman was said to have discovered the tomb. And this is likely historical because in that culture, a woman's testimony was considered next to worthless. If someone was trying to write a fabricated story, they would have had men making this discovery. The Jewish authorities' response to the empty tomb was this. They said that Jesus' followers had stolen his body, which was an admission that Jesus' tomb was in fact empty. Jacob Kremer said this: most scholars by far hold firmly to the reliability of the biblical statements about the empty tomb. So there is no way that the disciples actually faked the resurrection. This very weak argument fails to address the disciples' obvious sincerity. You see, people don't willingly die for something that they know is not true. So if they faked the resurrection, there's no way they would have gone off to the ends of the earth and given up their lives for the risen Christ. Again, no scholar defends this conspiracy theory today. Keep listening to this series. God bless you.